They've broken records and countless teenage hearts. So the question is, how did these talented young singers go from pawns in the star-making machinery to kings of the music industry?
Backstreet's back, all right.
The Backstreet Boys were born to be.
My mother always wanted me to be a lawyer.
A doctor.
An architect like my father.
My dad insisted on medical school.
I was always expected to be a part of the family business.
A bank manager.
But
I was born to be.
Let's get on with the show. Let's get started.
The Backstreet Boys' path to chart-busting fame began in the Sunshine State in 1993. A well-placed ad in an Orlando, Florida newspaper announced it was looking for local talent to audition for an all-male vocal group. This was music to the ears of 14-year-old A.J. McClain, 12-year-old Nick Carter, and 19-year-old Howie Dorough.
Howie, AJ, and myself, we've been together for the past 4.5 years now. We used to sing together.
The Orlando natives had formed an a cappella group after meeting one another in countless casting offices on the entertainment circuit.
Orlando is big for acting, such as Universal Studios, MGM, Disney World. So we did a lot of that, like for commercials and things. We always met up all the time. So another common interest was singing. So we always sang together.
The boys discovered they had something going on when they began harmonizing together and began to shop around their talents as a group.
We're all very talented individuals. When we come together as a group, it's just like something that's,
When the Young Dynamos auditioned for Lou Pearlman, an Orlando business tycoon with dreams of managing the next pop supergroup, he knew he had something special on his hands and went on to search for 2 more members to round out the group. Kevin Richardson, then 20, was performing in the stage production of Aladdin at Disney World. A friend of his recommended him to Pearlman, and he secured an audition. When Kevin began singing, it was immediately clear to everyone that he had the goods. But more importantly, he had an instant rapport with the rest of the band. The search was still on for the final member of the group. Kevin thought of his cousin, Brian Luttrell, who lived in Lexington, Kentucky.
Brian's my cousin. I love him.
Kevin knew his wholesome good looks and angelic voice would be sure to impress Pearlman and the others. A telephone interview was set up, and Luttrell was on a flight to Orlando the next day.
Once Kevin brought us, Brian, that's when we knew that was gonna be it. That was Backstreet Boys.
So that's where it all begins.
Their winning looks, all-American personalities, and undeniable talent convinced Pearlman that he had a hit on his hands.
I think we all believe it was destiny while we're together and why we do what we do now.
After hiring Johnny and Donna Wright, who had managed the careers of New Kids on the Block, he set out to showcase the Backstreet Boys to the world.
We're not about a gimmick. We're not about being manufactured. We're about family and friends coming together, in harmony and singing.
In the early days of their career, Backstreet Boys played anywhere they could. SeaWorld, amusement parks, and a high school circuit through the U.S. helped the guys cut their teeth performing in front of large crowds.
It was like we all grouped up and said a little prayer and it was like, be with us and let's just rock this house. And we ran out there and we were only on stage for, I would say, 15 minutes at tops. But it was unbelievable.
Getting over the fear, of getting up in front of people.
Just making sure that you don't forget the words.
I can sing in the shower all day.
In fact, it was at a high school in Oregon that the Backstreet Boys landed their contract with Jive Records. Upon observing the enthusiastic reaction of the teenage girls in the crowd, Donna Wright called a Jive executive on his cell phone. The person on the other end of the call liked what they heard, and the deal was struck. With a record contract in place, the boys set about recording their first single, We've Got It Going On. The track was met with a lukewarm reception in the U.S., but it caught fire in Europe. They would tour for nearly 2 years straight, winning a massive fan base all over Europe and even Canada.
It started in Europe, and I think it came from France and the magazines and stuff, and that's how it came to Quebec first before it got everywhere else.
And then from Canada, it just bled over into the United States.
Yeah. We've been so busy in Europe, we haven't even had a chance to promote in the United States yet, and that's what we're getting ready to do next.
But the question remains, would the boys succeed in their home country, or were they destined to remain on the outskirts of American pop music?
After selling out the Molson Center 3 nights in a row and then coming back to the U.S. and performing in parking lots, it's an adjustment, but it's very humbling, and we don't mind. We're hard workers, and we don't mind.
The homesick singers were ecstatic to have another opportunity to prove themselves in their homeland.
This is the United States of America. This is our home, so we're starting all over again, which is nice. You know, some people think, oh, don't you think it's bad to, you know, be so big somewhere else and not so big somewhere else? But it's personal now. We're gonna succeed, we hope.
2 years of non-stop touring allowed them to polish their stage performances and develop the confidence and charisma of a bona fide supergroup. The Backstreet Boys were poised for pop perfection. In 1997, the Backstreet Boys re-released their self-titled debut album in the U.S.
You changing it up? Yeah, we're gonna do a little bit more R&B because the style of music, the mainstream in America, is a little bit more R&B as comparison to Europe and some other places where it's more pop-oriented.
It quickly topped the charts and generated 4 other sizzling hit singles.
But my love is all I have to give.
It happens to be my most favorite album that we've put out just because of the material on it, but I think it's important for us to set ourselves straight that we're about our music.
After 3 long years of grueling tour schedules, the Backstreet Boys' hard work was finally paying off. They had proved themselves as a force to be reckoned with. But with fame and recognition comes a whole new set of problems. When we come back, watch as the young upstarts bask in the glow of the spotlight and face a year wrought with heartache when Born to Be continues.